There's a particular kind of exhaustion that only successful people understand. You've built the business, you've hit the numbers, but something is quietly draining out of you. Your energy, your presence at home, the version of yourself you used to be proud of. And somehow, despite everything you've achieved, you can't seem to find the same drive for yourself that you pour into everyone else. My guest today knows that man. He's coached him. He's been in that room when the armor finally comes off. Kyle Brookes is the founder of Excalibur, a hybrid body and mind performance coaching program built specifically for men in their 30s to 50s who are financially successful, but quietly drifting in their bodies, drifting in their relationships, drifting in their leadership. Kyle's belief is simple and it hits hard. Your body is your resume. The way you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself, the way you show up for the people who depend on you. It's all broadcasting who you are before you say a single word. In this conversation, we'll go beyond, I don't have time to work out. Kyle and I unpack why time is almost never the real problem. We dig into identity, limiting beliefs, and why the most driven men on the planet are often the ones most stuck. We talk about his 6F framework, the structured path he uses to take men from drifting and depleted to what he calls transcendence. If you've ever looked at your life and thought, I'm doing well on paper, but I know I'm meant for more, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge. I'm your host, Dawn Gagye. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. Unless it's your first time here, welcome for the first time. I am meeting with someone so interesting today. This is Kyle Brookes from Excalibur. And I would describe him as a hybrid body, mind, fitness person, expert who really walks people through an incredible transcendental journey as part of the work he does with them. So without further ado, I'm going to have Kyle introduce himself as I do with all of my guests here on the Entrepreneurial Edge. So Kyle, go ahead and tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hi there, Dawn. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Kyle Brookes. I am a high performance coach. I focus on helping men between the ages of 30 to 50 revolutionize their lives because a lot of people have started to drift when they become successful. They focus mainly on being able to acquire money and build their business, but they tend to drift in their body, their leadership at home, as well as other aspects of their life. And my focus is on readjusting them, getting them to be able to really holistically change their life and harmonize every other part of their value system to be able to live a life that is strong.
What would you share with us about the experience your client or your perfect person what are they experiencing before they come to you? What are they feeling? Do they have a voice in their head gnawing at them saying something? Are they feeling something physically occurring? Tell me a little bit more about that.
A lot of the time, the men that come to me, they have either picked up a specific amount of pounds. They're maybe 30 pounds extra that they didn't have before. Their belt line starting to tighten a bit, but then they also have fatigue. And they start to notice it show up in other areas, whether they walk into the room with not having the presence that they used to, the confidence. They have doubt that starts to creep in. And doubt is one of the things that really cripples men. They don't realize it, but it does cripple you when you tend to want to do things with your kids, for example. If you want to play a sport, oh, I can't really throw that ball the same way I used to. Oh, I can't ride a bike the same way that I used to with your kids or with the family in general. And those things all start to culminate and add up to limiting their experience of life.
I really feel like before we get into my next question, I have this kind of curiosity in my mind. What brought you into doing this type of work? What was that origin story? I always like to ask because something must have inspired this for you. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, ma'am, I definitely can. That is a great question. So I would say when was it now? 2011, I got married at a very young age, 23 years old. And from that perspective, I focused solely on building a career that could support my family and my newborn kid so that she would never have to go through the same sort of poverty that I had through my life. And I wanted to make sure that she had everything that she could ever want. That said, though, you end up working 16-hour days, constantly being away and not really focusing anything on yourself. But what that leads to, it leads to a lot of conflict at home because you're not focusing on the family, you're not focusing on the wife. You're just being a bankroll for the family instead of actually adding value to them.
Yeah.
And what essentially ended up happening was that 4 years down the line, the marriage didn't end up going where it was. There was some infidelity, and I ended up moving to the United States. So from that perspective, I realized I had lost myself mentally, socially, or financially, because I moved here with the box of books,
Yeah.
and then also also physically. And what I decided that I was never going to be a man that somebody could ever walk away from again, and started to rebuild who I was as a person and rebuild the person that I was with systems, whether it be waking up at the same time every single day, making my bed, going to gym, ensuring that I track my macros, really just putting very specific things in place and started to shift not only my physical side of things, but the mental aspect of myself as well. And once I realized that I could do that for myself, I didn't want anybody else to go through that same sort of pain that I had ever gone through. And I see it happen to so many men around me.
Mm.
And that's where I uncovered the purpose of my purpose in life is to impact 100,000 men's lives through the four pillars that make up their throne, which is physical, mental, social, and financial.
Wow. Now, did you have a mentor that worked with you to build this, or is this something that you assembled on your own with some inspiration from other people? That specific system sounds unique. And I heard you say the four pillars of their throne. So I'm wondering what informed that. Were there any influences? And then was this a vision you had as you assembled it? Tell me a little bit about that.
The main inspiration for me came from Old Nightingale. He was the dean of motivation back in the 1960s. He always spoke about, that you can manifest what you want to, and you always have to have a positive attitude. And from that aspect, I started to shift a lot of things. And then also Elliot Hulse with his 5x5 program attached various different mentors like that. I didn't really have a solid mentor, but I went searching for everything that I could on the internet as well as books that I could read. They say readers are leaders. So my ability to read and to decipher information and then culminate into something that's digestible for other people. I think it was Albert Einstein said that you don't really understand something unless you can explain it to a second grader. So that is our goal. We want to be able to decipher the information, make it very palatable for everybody to understand, and then create it. And branding or the throne, why I chose Excalibur is that we're not the hero of the story. We're help the person to embrace the king that was within them already. That's if you look at the story of King Arthur, he went through, he was already a king inside. And all that was happened is that he unleashed that when he removed the sword from the stone. That is our goal. We will be able to turn you into the king that you truly are, the warrior king that you are, by working alongside you. There's a framework that I use with my clients, and that is STORY. It stands for situation. What is the situation that you're currently in? What is the tension that you're going through? So T. O is what are the outcomes that you want? R is the results. And then Y is you and your customer, or you and your client. You are the Luke Skywalker. We are the Yoda of the story. We're going to make you the hero.
That is so good. I feel like there's a lot of overlap in what you've just shared too. In similar conversations I have with my clients as a marketing strategist. So I want to just acknowledge that alignment in anything that we do to move people to action. We are not the hero. We are the guide. The person we're moving to action is the hero. So I absolutely relate to the story of King Arthur. It's actually one of my favorite Disney movies is The Sword and the Stone. The magic of The Sword and the Stone is that internal story, right? It's not knowing, but feeling something within us to just try to pull the sword from the stone and see what we've got. So I definitely appreciate that wonderful framework that you've set up for your clients. And I can see how it would benefit them. So they have this struggle. I just want to come back now to the struggle that they're experiencing or this pain. And I do like to remind people too, pain isn't always a physical need to take a Tylenol situation. It might be that part of your deeper in your sternum, something's just off or not right, or I need fulfillment. And it meets kind of these core primal needs. And it sounds like for your people, are they always men, by the way? I just want to make sure our audience knows. So they're always men and they're around 30 to 50. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I picked the most difficult clientele if you think about it.
And they're
Right.
the most difficult because,
Well, if you think about it from this perspective, right? A woman, if she has a problem, she will go through and she'll spend money on that problem and get it done. A
mhm,
man will suffer through that problem until that's his very last resort.
mhm.
And that's the differentiation that I found. Like I can get a million female clients pretty easily because they know these are the 10 things that I want to work on and I want them done in this amount of time. A
Mhm.
man, on the other hand, you have to kind of go, okay, well, how much pain have you gone through? How long have you been dealing with this? And then kind of frame it from the perspective of if you don't do anything right now, what are the results you're going to get in the next year, 2 years, 3 years? You're going to be in the same spot or worse. And then it starts to change their mind.
Mhm.
Women don't have that problem. They're like, I want this right now.
Yeah, for the most part, for sure. I can definitely validate that on the female side. We may also overthink it a bit, but we know we're going to move to solve, right?
Yes.
Which just racks my brain because men are born fixers, except when it comes to themselves. Like,
100%.
okay. So I think was this a quote that you shared with me when we were originally doing our fit chat for this podcast, the body as a resume? Was that you?
Yes, ma'am. That's
Let's
correct.
go into that. Describe what that phrase means and how it's most relevant within the scope of your business.
Think about it from this perspective. You could rock up to a bar and you could have a Ferrari and a Rolex, but you could have a massive belly and really look like you're out of shape.
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, that's not going to make a very good impact. Yes, people know that it's very difficult to get those things, but if you look at the perspective of trying to get a six pack or trying to get in shape and being sure that you're in shape, there's a very different discrepancy. That requires a lot of hard work, discipline, and putting off what you want now for what you really want. In my previous career, I was doing my electrical engineering as well as a male entertainer. And during that process, I found that there were guys that were paying and getting their wives whatever they wanted, G-Wagons and everything. And yet, well, those ladies would come to us and kind of be awe-inspired by us and, dawn all over us versus like, you've got a man at home that's supporting you completely. So from that perspective, your body showcases so much more and you can't buy attraction.
No. Well, maybe with some Botox.
Plausibly, yes.
I currently do not consume Botox. So, okay, person comes to you, they've determined that they've had enough and they've reached the threshold and want to move into action. Explain to us or describe what does the journey look like once they've done that with you? What is the process? Are they coming in to work out 5 times a week? Are they just working out? It seems like there's some inside work happening too, not just core bodybuilding, muscle stuff, but brain work. Is that correct? Or
Very correct, ma'am. Very correct.
okay.
So I've built a framework called the 6 F's of a successful man. And we start with the fitness side, right? So we start with fitness because I'm a Christian and I figured out that James 2 verse 17 states that faith without works is dead. So our ability to ensure that we are putting work into the temple that we were blessed with, firstly showcases that we are taking care of it and we are worthy. Even though we don't have to show that we showcase that we're worthy, but I would prefer to say, hey, listen, I have invested everything that I am into who I am. So I have the capability for you to give me more stress, give me more pain, give me more of that because that's going to define who I am. It's the same like if you take a sword,
Mhm.
the more you put heat, pressure, and cooling through that entire process, it's going to be able to make that sword sharper and harder. So
Mhm.
that's why we start with the fitness first. Then we move from that into faith. So faith for me is very important because you have to believe in something that's bigger than yourself because that gives you the capability to be able to serve for a higher purpose. Then, only then, we move into the next, which is family. Now, there's a saying that goes, blood is thicker than water, but that's not the full saying. The
Mm.
full saying is blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb, meaning that the family that we choose is oftentimes more important and critical than the family that we were born to. I mean, when you get married to somebody, you become one with them, right?
Yes.
Same thing. So that's where that comes from. Then it goes from there into fellowship. You are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with and the books that you read. So your fellowship can either pull you back into the bucket or they can help you out of the bucket. A story about crabs. Essentially, this crab fisherman was catching a whole lot of crabs, and a bystander comes by and he says, "Hey, listen, one of your crabs is going to escape." And he says, "Don't worry about it. Watch what happens in the next couple of seconds." As it's just about to escape, the rest of those crabs pulled him back into the bucket. This is why fellowship is very important.
Wow.
Then we move from there to finance. Finance is critical to navigate the world, but it's not the baseline. So it becomes the second tier to the top. And then the last is follow. Follow your purpose. The odds of you being born are 400 trillion to 1. If you had to put it into perspective in seconds, it would equate to 126 million years. That's how rare it is that you and I are on this earth at this given time. Meaning that we were brought here for a purpose. And the world will be lesser for it if we do not deliver that message. So that's the 6F framework that I assign my clients to and kind of work them through. So we start with the fitness. We go, okay, what are the goals that you have? You want to lose X amount of pounds. You want to gain X amount of muscle. What are the dimensions? Okay, so we have all of those specifics in there. We establish a baseline. I send them a scale and a measuring tape. And we track those metrics every single week. Why? Because you can't manage what you're unable to measure. And then what we do is we start working on, okay, are we moving closer to those goals or are we moving further away from those goals? How do we adapt? How do we overcome? I've got this principle called auto, around, under, through, or over. We'll get to the goal no matter what. So once we've established that, we get them working on those fitness goals, but in the actual app or the program that I use, we have other habitual routines that we install. One is waking up at the same time every single day. Why this is critical? It establishes your circadian rhythm, which is just your brain's ability to wake up at a specific time. If it gets thrown off, it messes up all of your hormones. Once they do that, what's the first task that you do? You make up your bed.
No.
Because if you make up your bed, 1, you have completed a task for the day, and 2, if you have a crappy day, guess what? You come back to a made bed.
That's right.
Then we go through meditation or prayer, whichever they choose. I do a bit of combination of both with some breath work. And then I'll have a ginger shot in the morning. And all of these are tasks that they have assigned to them in the actual app, and they have to tick it off.
Oh, good.
Yes, ma'am. I track every single thing and make sure that the clients are doing what they're supposed to be doing, because and also I do it myself. So it's not like they're just doing it by their own. Every single thing they're going through, I've already utilized and experienced on my own. And from that perspective, we will go through a 6-week journey, see where they're at. We'll have a call every single week, make sure that they're tracking progress. And then the rest of the year, we want to establish autophagy, where they're being able to do it by themselves. I don't want them to rely on me. And that's not a very good business model a lot of the time, because you're kind of getting rid of your clients. But from my perspective is they get to go and influence a lot more other people with the knowledge that they have. A leader makes more leaders. He doesn't make more followers.
That's a good one. There's a couple of things that you definitely shared that are easy to latch onto because they just make so much sense, but they're also easy to memorize. And I think that is so helpful. And the principle of what you just said, I think, is a very important thing to distinguish out in the world right now in general. Are you a fan of Jocko Willink?
Team ownership.
I love his work, and he's easy to listen to as well, just like yourself. And he just says these things and it just instantly lands and it's easy to remember. His concept of leadership is the same. He talks about decentralized command and extreme ownership. And you have to be able to empower the people who are boots on the ground to make some of these decisions. Like, yes, you're issuing orders, but they have other people underneath the guy at the top who's also distributing that and making sure there's clear lines of communication and accountability throughout, right? Even though leader ultimately at the end of the day has to own anything that has occurred, whether he was boots on the ground or not, and instilling that type of thinking outward as you're doing through your work, I think only makes the rest of the world a better place. It's one person at a time. And there's nothing that's not extraordinary about that because that's how this is going to all happen, right? The ultimate way to transcend or transform, whichever word resonates best with the listener. I think at the end of the day, that's the most portable thing they can take. And the fact that you make your clients autonomous, you're helping them embody a new way of moving through life, right? Physically and mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Smell.
It takes practice, but you honor the fact, and I do this with my clients as well. I call myself the Mary Poppins of marketing when I'm in front of my clients. I said,
I like that.
you're not going to keep me forever. It's my job so that I'm not here forever. I am here to instill a framework and a strategy that you can learn,
Mhm.
adopt, and then utilize for you to scale over time, ultimately on your own, because I wanted to debunk, and I'm not going to make a lot of friends with this, but it's truth. And that's, I think it's important that we speak authentically and truthfully.
Yeah,
The retainer framework that other marketing professionals, whether they're agencies or not, put in place to prevent the client from ultimately being able to thrive on their own. Now, yes, there are certain things that marketers have expertise around and they need to be there to do the job. But as
yeah,
far as my capacity and the same thing like you're doing is ultimately they're going to graduate from you. That's the goal is
exactly.
so they can go onward, and not everybody's should need someone like a you or someone like me forever. Graduation day in my world and probably in your world is the most humbling, greatest part of your job is that they've
Exactly.
reached the point where they no longer need you. And maybe that's sad, but I'm learning too. And I know you said earlier, positivity is so important. And I wonder if you'd be willing to have this part of the conversation. This is really going off the script, but I think we
Mhm.
could have it. I'm grieving the loss of some people in my life. And it's interesting because they're still alive. So I'm in this weird place of grief where no one shows up to support you because the people are still living.
Right.
And I realized I'm coming up to these anniversaries and these times in the next couple of months. And I just was like, I'm going to need help getting through this. It's a weird type of grief. And I'm learning it's compound grief. But the goal of this question that I want to pose to you, or part of the conversation, is why is it not okay to be sad or in a negative headspace anymore in our culture? I've developed a block to
Right.
sit with the sadness because even my husband, he's literally known as the motivational Marine.
Yeah, I love that. I
He's
love
amazing.
that.
And he's starting to see not that positivity is toxic. It's just we can't not learn to sit with
Mm,
grief or sadness or upset or anger or rage. I'm curious when your clients are struggling, like maybe it's a little bit of your auto framework, right?
mhm.
Which I think is great. My husband's version of that and the Marine version is improvise, overcome, and adapt,
Yes,
IOA.
ma'am. Yes, yes, yes.
But how do we reconcile this? Is it okay for your clients with the philosophy you have with auto and the positivity and this layer in our culture of not really feeling comfortable in negativity or sadness? How do you reconcile that when they're hitting the wall working with you? Because you do the
Mm.
mental work with them. Tell me a little bit about that.
One, you can't dam up your emotions.
Mm,
If you start damming them up, eventually they're going to either overflow or bust through. You have to look at it from the point of you're in a river and you can try and swim against the current as much as you want to. But all that's going to happen is that you're going to end up being tired.
mm,
Rather, utilize that to help you to go where you want to go.
mm,
And I'm not saying you can't be sad. I'm not saying that you can't have those days where you have that negative perspective.
mm,
But from the perspective of if it's a negative situation, there has to be a positive in there as well. So, what is this situation trying to teach me? What can I extract from this and what can I learn so that I can become better as a person? And the main aspect of the society that you're talking about is that I tend to tell my clients not to spoil their negativity or their sadness to everybody. Be
yeah.
very specific about who you talk with because everybody will accept bad news from you, right? They're
Mhm.
happy to because they'll use it against you. Let's put it from this perspective 80% of the people don't care, 15% of them are happy that it's you. And there's only about 5% that actually really want to be on your side.
Mhm.
So to be able to decipher who those people are is difficult.
Yeah.
When you're working with me, what we do is we actually have that discussion. I care about what it is that you're going through. But I also want to give you the tools to overcome that and to kind of go, okay, well, I'm going down this river right now. Where is it that I want to be? And how can I use this emotional fuel to get there? Because emotion is just an acronym for energy in motion.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. And it's interesting you shared that in my conversation yesterday with my therapist. She had shared that our emotions come from our thoughts. So if we can identify the thought and sit with it and say, she was really funny. I kind of put the Judge Judy principle to it. I know that you're like dealing with this stuff, but what can we prove in this courtroom today that's fact? What's factual?
Right.
So your thoughts are going to come when they're going to come. It's going to happen no matter what. So when they do, it's on us, and it sounds like you're doing with your clients, is what is factual right now about the thoughts that are causing this emotion for you? And, do some self-assessment on what is truth. My husband's a big fan of what is truth here and exploring, because he's in psychology too. So what is truth about what's happening right now for you and your emotions? Doesn't mean the emotions aren't real. If you're feeling happy, sad, joyful, angry, rageful, like that's currently true for you. You can own those and be accountable and say, these are my feelings.
Yes.
But then question the facts that are leading you to that. What is actual truth? And it puts you in a position of being proactive about managing it.
Exactly.
Right. And to your point too, which I really appreciate, earlier you had shared the fellowship, your 5 people. In my mind, as we've been talking through this part of the conversation, those are the people you most likely should be able to go to with these things, like with the struggle, with the sadness. And it's not on them to solve it. Maybe it's just on them to hold space. Maybe it's on them to remind you what's fact about this. It sounds like you play a role in that. So when your clients are working with you and they hit these walls, what do you do to keep them moving through the river rather than against the river?
When we talk about it, people tend to focus on why a lot. A why question to me just reinforces what's going on. I'll ask 2 other questions. I'll ask what it is that you're going through, and what is it that you really want to experience, and where is it that you want to be in the next X amount of time. That empowers them to be able to say, okay, well, this is currently what's happening, but this is what I want to have happen. And then we can close that gap. I think it's called the knowledge action gap. They have the knowledge to get there, but they're not taking action because they don't have the systems to be able to close that gap. One of my clients, he was having a really difficult time with confidence in speech.
So it's like something a lot of people might struggle with too, not just him.
Yes, ma'am. So he's in great shape now, really good in business. However, something happened in his childhood or something along those lines where he was put down or created those circumstances where he doesn't have the ability to articulate when he gets up in front of people. And what we did is we did a technique by establishing what are the submodalities. Submodalities is what does it feel like? What does it sound like? Where in your body is that coming from? So we derived what those are. And then we looked at, okay, where are situations where you are comfortable? Is it when you're teaching a class in Muay Thai, or is it when you're doing something else? And we established what those submodalities were. And then what we did is we took the submodalities from when he was powerful and started to shift those across to when he felt like he was not powerful, and started to shift those. And now whenever he has that feeling of being in front of people, that we reprogram the way that he experiences that emotion.
Wow. How many reps does that typically take? Does it depend on the person? 1? Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So once that happened, what did he share back to you about the change that created in him?
He firstly coming off the call, ecstatic, absolutely, like he's screaming, shouting. It's like, man, I want to burst out of my skin right now.
Wow.
And that's essentially what happens. Your body stores emotion. You've got a neurological system. I actually a master in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic program. Neuro stands for brain and neurology. Linguistic stands for language, and programming is what you run every day. For example, you always brush your teeth with your dominant hand. You do it from the back to the front or what from right to left, whatever it is, that's a program that you're running automatically. But we can interrupt those programs. The next time somebody's freaking out, be like, "Do you smell burning?" or drop a pen. Instantly, you've shifted their state. You've changed their state from whatever it is to something different. And then you can start to readjust. And that's what we do. So, for example, your husband's scent. If he's not around and all of a sudden you smell that, it instantly brings you back comfort and feels good.
Yeah.
Exactly the same sort of thing that we do. We go, okay, how can we change whatever it is and anchor that feeling to what you want it to be? It's called priming and anchoring.
Wow. It's so amazing between the mind and the body, right? And how we can correct these things. I mean, I literally in my session with my therapist yesterday it was the same thing. She's like, you just make a choice, like question the thoughts. Are they real?
Yes.
And what output do you want on the other side? I'm sure your clients now between 30 and 50, a lot happens for men.
Yes.
I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but I've observed it with my husband particularly. And I'm wondering too, when you're talking about the NLP and this example of your client with this identity around how to take places where he's been powerful and then transfer that into a place where he hasn't been able to tap into it. Now he is. In the scope of people working with you, it sounds like, does that happen pretty much with everyone? Tell me a little bit more about where that shows up for your clients.
It's more case by case with each client, depending on what they've been through. I tend to see that guys that have been through the military and are pretty good in business don't really focus on what's holding them back. They'll push through regardless of. I know a guy with a broken leg that will be able to still come through and work out. That's the type of mentality that they have. Like, I'll work my upper body.
Yeah.
So it just depends on where they are and what sort of trauma they've been through, because everybody's been through different senses of trauma, right? So it is just about what is it that you've gone through and what's holding you back, and reframing that from holding you back to, I'm happy that this happened to me. Like, I'm happy that I went through that divorce because I wouldn't be the person that I am right now.
Yep.
I'm very ecstatic that it happened when I was, younger, because it gave me at least 10 years to redefine who I am as a person and a man. I call it reforging, like my book, reforge the person that I am now so that I can be stronger, better, and a better leader to be able to develop these systems and to help more men instead of just being stuck at home, sitting in front of the TV, having barbecues on weekends, drinking beer.
I think you're painting a good picture too about what people who work with you can look forward to. Do you have a typical duration of time that people do work with you? Tell me more about what that journey timeframe looks like. I think you have two different types of the perfect person. So maybe first we should define those two, and then tell me about how long people tend to work with you.
Perfect. So, like I said, it's usually men that are between the ages of 30 and 50 years old. They've gone through the effort of creating a very profitable or successful business, but they lose themselves. And a lot of the time, the two different folks are either one guy that has had it before, like had a good fitness side and lost it, or the other side of that is a guy that has never been in good shape and would like to get there because now he's got all the financial side of things, right?
Okay.
So those are the two folks that I usually work with. The guy that's been there before, usually a lot more difficult to work with because they have bad habits that they've already installed.
Got it.
and they think that they know the right way to get there. Just because you've done something or just because something is not broken, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't like that. I said, just because it isn't broken doesn't mean it can't be improved.
I love that. Thank you for saying that out loud.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So those are the guys that are usually with me for between 6 weeks. We establish a baseline, just working with me one-on-one, and then they'll do the program for the rest of the year, and then they'll see from that perspective.
Okay.
The guys that have never done it before, they're usually with me for about a year, and they'll do training on a regular basis and coaching with me on a regular basis because they need that feedback, the closed loop system. Okay, you've done this. These are the outcomes that we've had. Okay, how do we get back to improving that, improving that? Because it's all about stacking, right? It's like compound interest. Everybody talks about compound interest. If you started investing 20 years ago, you'd be a millionaire by now. The same thing happens with your body. The earlier you start investing, the better you are going to be when you're older.
That makes so much sense. And I think that's helpful too for people listening to know there are these two lanes that you typically work with people, and they both have a certain set of struggle. I think I would imagine, I don't know, maybe you can validate this or not, but the person who's never really done the work previously, what that must feel like to overcome and actually make the call to meet with you for the first time. It sounds like they might be in even more pain than the first group. Would that be accurate?
100%. And some of the things that we have to overcome there is the psychosomatic issues of going to the gym for the first time when you're out of shape, that for a guy, it's intimidating. We want to know that we know everything. We want to appear like we know everything. I know that we don't because I have a wife.
Women are great like that.
So it reframes things and it really makes them kind of go, okay, I am intimidated by the situation, but there's nothing intimidating about it. It's the same thing like driving the car for the first time. Okay, I don't know how the gas pedal works. I don't know how the clutch works. I don't know how the gears work. But once you start to warm up to it, and I'll be there every step of the way, holding your hand through this with videos, with calls, everything to be able to take the thinking out of it. So all you have to do is show up. That kind of reinforces or allows them to relax, but it still takes so much effort to put that first step into the gym.
Yeah, it really does. I think you don't even have to be a guy between 30 and 50 to have an appreciation for that experience. We all have probably something in our lives that we can connect with and relate to and feel that. I literally could feel that in my body when you were just sharing it. And I'm not a guy in my 30s to 50s, but I've done something for the very first time and felt very intimidated by it, and fortunately had a really wonderful guide. I did Pacific Crest Outward Bound School the summer before my senior year in high school, and we were out in Yosemite, which is gorgeous in California. And we had two amazing instructors, and their names were easy to remember because they were Bob and Neil. So if you could think about somebody taking bobbing and kneeling, but both extraordinary. And I remember the first time I climbed a rock face on that trip, we had to get up to a ledge, and from the ledge, we had to climb the rock face. And I did not know this, but I apparently am terrified of heights. I froze on the rock face. Got to the ledge, wasn't feeling super comfortable. But then once I started climbing, now we were roped in. I had very capable instructors, lots of encouragement, but I still froze. I was the only one to get myself back down. But it was that first time not knowing what was going to happen, feeling intimidated, and also having somebody alongside of me that encouraged me to take agency over in the next choice.
Yes.
Right. To make the first step. In my case, it was to retract my fingers off the rock and just lean into the belay. Belay is when you're on the ropes and your partner lets you like swing down and keep rappel down.
Yes,
and also getting down and being very clear that that was not something I wanted to pursue sport wise. I will do it again if I have to, but I'm not willingly doing this, and recognizing your limitations, but you have to keep going. It wasn't like I was going to quit the whole trip. So again, let's talk about this. Like, we are the guides and our client or customer is the hero, and you're there to empower that to happen, whether it's from the first step into a very new experience that they are intimidated by, or even your other group that's like, I've been there, I've done that, but I still have work to do. And I'm sure that's a whole other conversation that you have with them to just begin. And it has its own dynamics around it, which in both cases, your training, your personal experience, and your why helps give them empathy, but also keeps them accountable to keep moving forward, plus the systems you put into place, plus the results that they're going to experience, plus being that ultimate guide, right? Like the Yoda, knowing that you have it within you to do the work, but it's ultimately up to them. And once they do, you've got them every step of the way.
Mhm.
Now, I wonder too, I want to make sure our audience knows when they're working with you, do they have to be local or can they be anywhere? Tell me where your people are located.
Beautiful. Before I get that, I just want to go back to the fact of your climbing. There's
Yeah.
two definitions that I tell my clients for fear.
Mm,
They're acronyms. So it either stands for forget everything and run,
mm.
or false evidence appearing real.
I've heard that one
You
before.
you get to choose which one you want to assign to that.
That's so good.
And then we're going into the question of where my clients are. My clients are located everywhere around the United States as well as South Africa, South America.
Oh,
They work with me online a lot of the time, but if they're local, they get even better results because they get me coming into the gym with them. So it's a twofold system.
okay.
But I mean, I travel also all over the United States. So if they do need me to come through, I'll come through for a week, make sure that we're really honing in on what it is that they want to do. And sometimes I have to be that accountability person and travel up to them and kick them in the behind a little bit.
I would imagine that's par for the course sometimes with your clients. And it's probably fun for you. You love this stuff. Why not? And not just for the money, it's the principle, right? Because you know that the person has the capacity to do it. It's real talk. It's time to show up and do the work. And I will be there and show up to help you do the work, which I think is
Exactly.
amazing. And when I hear about people who offer the level and the type of service you're doing, it seems you have these systems, these proven systems, but they're applied in a custom way, would you
Mhm.
say? I mean, you have a time frame and a duration and a system and a process, but you also shared everybody might need a little something different based on their previous experience and meeting them where they're at, which we do in
Yes.
marketing a lot. Like you can't, if my people aren't on LinkedIn, and I'm not going to show up on LinkedIn because they're
Right.
not there. You have to meet people where they're at. So you're literally doing that on location. And then you're doing that, it sounds like in the headspace as well. So they're getting somewhat of a custom experience, higher level. Would you describe what you're doing as a luxury service to a certain extent? It sounds like your people might appreciate luxury services. Define that for me.
I would say yes to a certain degree. I'd say it's tailored towards what the client needs
Yeah.
specifically, because no two clients are ever going to be the same. We have a baseline of what we establish as what I believe you should be able to do,
Mhm.
and then okay, this guy wants to be able to do a ultra marathon. All right, we're still going to make you stronger. We're still going to make you better. We're going to dial in your nutrition for that specifically. But
Mhm.
if one gentleman is 50 years old and he just wants to lose weight while still looking strong, we're going to put him onto a carnivore diet, and that's going to help him to drop the weight, be strong,
Mhm.
and still have his testosterone level the way that he needs to be. So it really depends on the client. So I would say more luxury than
Yeah.
anything else.
And I say luxury too because most people aren't going to fly their trainer out to them. So, and where I'm going with this part of the conversation, and I like to make sure the audience knows. So, because I have a marketing background and I'm a strategist, part of the reason for my questions is to really get at the heart and soul of who are your people, right?
Mm,
We know why you serve your people, how you serve your people. What does their everyday look like? So, when I'm talking with a client, and helping them define their people, which is the perfect person that they want to work with on repeat over and over again. I like to look tangentially at their headspace, meaning, do they have appreciation for luxury brands? Do they have a certain type of lifestyle? To me, when I hear, yes, sometimes my clients will bring me to them and I can go anywhere in the world and I have international clients who I serve. I'm thinking, tell me what the day in the life of your client looks like. What brands are they touching? Where are their priorities in their day? If they have hobbies that they're participating in, what do those look like? It could be they're a member at the local golf resort or golf course versus, they're on the back nine at the everyday non-country club golf course. So I like to try and give perspective on that to my people when I'm speaking with them. And part of the podcast is to determine that because I want people to walk away, the audience of this podcast episode and any of my podcast episodes saying, oh my gosh, that's me. I need to reach out to Kyle. I know that he can help me. Tell me a little bit about what the day in the life of your client might look like if you could multiply them. Tell
So
me more about what they would look like.
your C-suite type of person or business owners, guys that have their life run by a calendar. They don't
Okay.
have the time to ensure that they're getting certain things in. This is what everybody always says they don't have the time, but we can make the time,
Mm.
especially for the fact that if you think about it from this perspective, say you get onto a plane and they give you the safety briefing. Who do
Yep.
they tell you to put the oxygen mask on first?
Yourself,
Why is that?
so you can help other people, which for a long time as a woman, I could not get my head around. It was like almost upsetting until I reached a certain age. I'm like, I get it now.
Yes, precisely.
Hmm.
So what these guys tend to do is they run their calendar and they're always focusing on, okay, I need to get my kids here, I need to do this, or I need to get these specific clients, I've got meetings. All that is good and well. But if you're not showing up at 100%, are you really doing a service to your clients, to your family, and to everybody around you? Probably not. I would rather be at 100% all the time than giving everybody 50%, which is doing them a massive disservice.
Okay.
This
Fair.
helps them to reestablish that 100%. What is my baseline currently? Okay, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, I'm irritable. All right, let's shift that. Let's go get that workout in right now. We get that workout in. Firstly, you're getting endorphins that you've earned, dopamine that you've earned, not frictionless dopamine. This, like the social media itself, just makes people so addicted to scrolling and getting that dopamine hit all the time. It over fries your hormones. Shift
Mhm.
that across. Let's go do something difficult. Let's do something hard. So these guys wake up already. They wake up at a set time. They have their Nespressos or whatever it is in the morning. They're going through their morning emails and stuff too quickly before actually taking the time for themselves.
Mm.
Yes, they may have the luxury car. Some of them have like their double cabs or their trucks that they like to drive. Some of them
Sure.
have, better cars. It just depends on who they are. But at the end of the day, they know what they want. They have very specific standards that they like to adhere to, but they've let those standards slip in other areas. And the most important area is themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's a common thing for a lot of people. And how do we satisfy the slip? And I think you
Mm,
mentioned it earlier, this frictionless dopamine. That's gold because it's so true. And I think not just men, but people in general, like, where else am I going to accomplish that? How do I get it in a manner which is going to suit my desire to get it quickly? And I think what you've helped us understand today is it's worth the friction. This is one of those areas in your life where friction is helpful and meaningful.
mhm.
I know my husband, this is a different example, but he has tattoos and they're these beautiful tattoos. And for him, I asked him, I don't have tattoos. I think I'm one of the few remaining people on this planet who doesn't have a tattoo. I have virgin skin. But I ask people, not just him, but other friends of mine, is there something that you like about the pain of the tattoo? And almost everyone says yes. Like, I actually surviving the process of getting that tattoo, feeling the pain, sitting with the pain and moving through it gives them a rush. For my husband, because he's former special forces, he needs to get his fix sometimes, and he's not doing that in the old way. He's a sniper. So
Right.
for him, it's doing hard things as part of his programming. Like you said, your first grouping of people who are either former military, law enforcement, doing things that were hard, they're more accustomed to that. I think most people right now, the doom scrolling or just that frictionless dopamine, first of all, I think that's a total conflict. We're looking for the hurt. Just
Yeah.
that feels weird. But that need to get the fix and do it in a way that's frictionless, I think says something. And a coach like you that helps your clients and helps us all as listening today identify that, I would call that a head tilt moment. Like, maybe we need to talk about that more amongst
Mm,
ourselves, but know that I know when I've done a hard thing, I feel really good afterwards. I'm exhausted. I might be in pain, not intentional pain. I'm talking about a good workout. I also work out with
yeah.
a partner who you kindly was referred you to me, Nariah Franklin. He has been helping me move my body differently. As a
Mhm.
former gymnast, I actually moved to my detriment now. Who knew? I'm
Yes,
going to
man.
be 50 in a month. And he's like, you're stretching too far, or your body has compensated because you've been a gymnast. It actually isn't serving you anymore. Again, back to the earlier part of our podcast. I think to your point now, frictionless scrolling is not serving you in the best way to achieve your dopamine. So having somebody that's mindful that reflects that back to you and makes an alternative option
Yeah.
through the work that you're doing. And yes, a physical workout can give you these results and, the good feelings and the good hormones and the good neurons firing in your body. But I also feel like for me, and this might resonate with some other people, I get the same kind of result when I write a good piece
Oh,
for
yeah.
LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
oftentimes with AI as an assistant, as my thinking partner, not as the doer, but spending hours in producing something that's real and could help somebody gives me the same high.
Yes. I want to come back to your comment of being a gymnast previously, right? So that no longer served you. Every single year or every 2 years, we are so quick to update our technology. New iPad, new iPhone, new MacBook, etc., etc. How many times do we update our own programming?
Yeah.
How many times are we changing that? That's one of the things that
Choice.
I
And is it by choice? Like
precisely.
I'm at that season where life is grabbing me by the lapels. And Brene Brown has said this, we're not messing around. It's go
Yeah.
time.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would rather proactively step into that than reactively. I've had other seasons of my life that have been thrust upon me that have pushed me and again forged me to your earlier point in the conversation in a way that I hope no one ever has to have in their
Mm.
own seasons of life. But great question from you. We do have an opportunity at whatever point in our time to make this determination, to say to ourselves, it's time to update our operating system or retire this. Like this is now obsolete and it's not sustainable to maintain that operating system. So what is the new one? What are some good questions that we can ask ourselves to tease that out, the operating system update?
Is this making me better or is it keeping me stuck?
Hmm. As it relates to maybe those 5 people around us, maybe we
Mhm.
need to reassess that. I have a younger friend who's just started doing that. They've gone through an assessment and they have determined, I don't know if I have the right 5 people around me right now because they're
Right.
not growing at the same rate or they're not asking the question like you're posing here today on our
Mm.
podcast.
But you can also put those people into buckets. So you can say that there are three types of people that you want to have in your life. Those that are slightly behind you, those are the people that you mentor.
Mm-hmm.
You allocate time to mentor them, and that's the time that you spend with them.
Yep.
The people that are on the same level as you with a different perspective, these are your friends. These are the guys that are giving you inputs and basically telling you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the last bucket is the people that are ahead of you.
Mm.
And with that, you also have various different versions of those people. So you'll have the truth teller, the person that you go to when you need an honest opinion. You have the confident, the person that you can tell anything to, and they're either going to just be your blank space that is there for whatever. And then the last one there's one more that I can't remember, but there's one more that's a 3 a.m. friend. The
Yeah.
person that you can call at 3 a.m. There's a movie or a clip from a movie that a guy comes to his friend and says, I need you to come with me right now. All I can tell you is that we're going to hurt some people and we can never talk about it again. And
Mm-hmm.
his friend goes to him, are we taking your car or are we taking mine?
Yep. Everyone needs a friend like that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's so good. Okay. I want to make sure we come full circle on your person moving through their day and make sure we service that properly here in the conversation. When it comes to them making decisions on where they're putting their time, because it seems like that's a big part, right? Prioritization, not any more time, but prioritization.
Yeah.
Before they work with you, When do they skip lunch? Do they stop for lunch? If they stop for lunch, are they consuming good food, bad food? Are they making good choices about consumption in general during the point of their days or at every part of their day? Are they being intentional? Are they being unintentional? And the reason for this question is this is, I'm going to put my marketing cap on.
Yeah.
Anybody out there who owns their own business, other owner operators, this is important. When you're walking through the day in the life of your perfect person who you know that you can help and serve, they're going to touch things and make decisions in a certain way, which when we start to work on marketing and messaging that feels authentic and true and not salesy to attract that person to serve as a magnet for them in a meaningful, well-intentioned way, not a manipulative way, we
Exactly.
want them to feel like we're speaking their language. So when I ask a question like this of a client who needs just coaching and marketing in general, and you're doing much the same, like you need to check in with your people and meet them where they're at on the daily to know how to serve them, to move them to do the action that they need to do to stay on track towards their goals. Very similar to my work as a marketing strategist. I want to know what their day looks like because it means I'm having these thoughts at certain points in my day. I'm having thoughts at the beginning of my day when I'm making my Nespresso. I have that too as a woman. Like I get up and I'm like, but first coffee. And my husband wants to tell me all the problems he solved in his sleep. I'm like, stand by. I need coffee. And I will hear the things. I will hear how you solved the problems of the world. But just coffee first. So I'm standing there and what am I doing? So I'm engaging with my dog.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the back door. I'm going to let them out. And I'm making an active choice to stand out there with my coffee to spend time with my dog because that is one of my five people.
Yes.
Okay. And from there, I take off the rest of my day. I'm not going to walk you guys through the rest of my day because this isn't about me. But when I ask a client that, I want to put you in the head again on the concept of we are the guide, they are the hero. So we're speaking their language at every turn where we might meet them where they're at in the right place at the right time so that it resonates and stands out in their brain. Meaning, I just heard this guy say a thing like Kyle about when I get to this point in my day, I'm totally feeling that way. How did he know that? He's literally in my head in a good,
Right.
okay.
Right. So, for example, when you were talking about that, most of these guys are the first thing they do is they're waking up and they're going through emails. They're prioritizing where are the fires that they need to put out because
Okay.
they're the decision makers. They're where the buck ends.
Got it.
So they're looking at where is it that I need to spend the time today because they use Pareto as their baseline. Pareto, for those that don't understand, is the 20% that accounts for 80% of the value that you add to your life. It was determined by a mathematician in Italy, Volfredo Pareto,
Mm-hmm.
who he said that 20% of what you focus on accounts for 80% of the value that you add to the world.
That's right.
So that's what these guys do. They look through their mails, they'll look through all of the messages that they've gone and go, okay, systematically, I'm prioritizing these things to be able to focus on today. And they cut out all the other noise. But that doesn't mean that social media doesn't come into play. That doesn't mean that the family doesn't come into play. That doesn't mean that everything else does not come into play because there's still going to be noise. So they still have to try and balance. And that's the issue with balance. Balance implies stress. I don't like balance. I like harmony. Why we harmonize our lives is we focus on every single aspect and we look at it from the perspective of a symphony. If you have various different instruments in the orchestra, your goal is to make sure that all of them have their allocated time and they have their time to shine and they're adding value to the symphony. There's no stress there. So these guys will go, okay, I'm going to focus on these specific tasks for the day and start implementing what it is they need to do. When it comes to lunchtime, sometimes they miss that lunch because of the fact that they're so busy, which is not good because now they're showing up to meetings slightly hangry. Anger is never good because you're not making good decisions. And
Right.
when they get home from work, maybe it's 2, 3 hours after when they're supposed to be at home, now they're getting stressed from the family. But at the end of the day, what was the most important thing? They got the job done that they were essentially intending to do. But it's not the most important thing because you can't get that time back from with your family. You can't do all the stuff that you were meant to do. There's no one's going to go to the grave being like, you know what? I'm happy I spent those extra 4 hours at work today.
That's right. Got it. So helpful. That was so good. And I encourage anyone who is an owner or an operator to do this exercise with yourself. You don't need an expert at the table to walk through the world of your perfect person that you're serving in your business. Like in any business, everyone should be doing this. And if you have a marketing person, ask them to sit with you and walk you through this because it's so critical, right? And if you even translate this over to bigger macro and the work that Kyle does, this is really part of his system. What do we want to attract? What do we want to magnetize to our life? Whether you use the word magnetize, manifest, bring to you, whatever that is, he's doing that alongside of you as well. But you have to move in a way that's going to bring it to you, right? Whether it's better health, a better physical body. I mean, when you're working with Kyle, you're doing like the whole 360 degrees of this, which is a gift. Not everyone can do it. Meaning Kyle's, he's a little bit unusual because not everyone will address this. You can go to a chiropractor and they'll work on your back and they may detect certain like illness or disease. It's not necessarily they're addressing like your mental state when you're at the chiropractor, right? I want to just point that out. There are people in the world who move through it doing things as experts. And at the level that Kyle's doing it, you clearly have a very particular person that you're looking to serve and help and transform and work with them to help themselves transform and guide them through that process. And someone like me that I don't know, how many years of experience do you have, Kyle, doing what you do?
In the fitness industry, over 2 decades. In the
Okay.
fitness industry, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
NLP, it's probably been over a decade now.
Okay. So you've done your 10,000 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
As have I. So that's a really unusual thing. You don't find a lot of people who are experts in their field. And so I want to just highlight that to whatever extent resonates with people out there. You're in good hands.
When I look at you as well, it's not that you're just a specialist in one aspect. You are a specialist. You're a master at the level, but you also have various different other avenues that you bring into that, and you collate that all into one package. There's that saying, a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yeah.
But the full one is, a jack of all trades and a master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one.
That's good. I like that. I'm wondering if people that you work with ever ask this question. Why is just joining a gym not necessarily the answer for the people that you work with? Can you talk to that a little bit?
I love that. Love that. Well, let's put it from this perspective. Would you go to get your driver's license and then go and drive a NASCAR?
I would not. No. No, thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's the very same aspect, right? You going to the gym is an experience that if you don't have the correct form, if you don't have the correct framework, you're never going to get the results. And what happens when you don't start getting results? Say, for example, you've been doing it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and you're stuck doing the same thing over and over again and not getting any results, which is the definition of insanity.
Yep.
Essentially, you're going to be disheartened and stop, or you're going to injure yourself. Working with a coach helps you to just establish that baseline. Just understand, what is my mind-body connection? You know how many people don't even know how to tense the particular muscles that they are doing when they're working out, or reestablish that connection after an injury, because a lot of people do have injuries that they've been hindering themselves with. So yes, you can join the gym, no problem. You can look at the pictures, for sure. You can look at YouTube videos, or you can ask ChatGPT to create a program for you. I have no objection to that. But you're not going to get the same results as if you are working with somebody who has actually been through the process and been that skinny, all the rest of it, and utilize that to create this framework. I use myself as an experiment for my clients.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let them do anything that I have not done myself.
Yep.
And that's a differentiating factor right now. Here's the shortcut that I can help you get there. It's like going to a financial advisor. I'm not going to go, okay, I'm just going to invest in Tesla and then go, And from that perspective, he'll go, no, diversify. You're the buckets that I prefer you to put these particular parts of your finances into. And this is going to get you from point A to point B in the next couple of years. The same thing when it comes to your body.
Perfect description. So important too. So the gentleman that referred me to you, Kyle, is a peer of yours. His name's Nariah Franklin. He owns Iron City Biomechanics here in Birmingham, and his focus is mostly working with women. So he's the mirror to you. And I can tell you, again, after having been a gymnast, Outward Bound was 2 weeks, 66 miles, 6 mountain peaks through the Sierra Nevadas.
Wow.
I've done a Spartan sprint. I'm not a runner by any stretch of the imagination. Please do not make me even run a mile. However, I knew I needed something. I knew for me I was literally experiencing pain. I was having sciatica issues and they weren't going away as quickly as they used to. I was losing sleep. And I know that being in the space with him to watch how I'm moving was so important because again, I was compensating. I couldn't see myself doing exercises at home. I can do the YouTube videos and the things and the apps, and they're great. But what he's helping me accomplish, much to your point, is a different point of view, literally, and also being guided properly to change these embodied cognitions and beliefs that I have programmed in my muscles to move a certain way that's no longer serving me. And I see that you pretty much do the same thing with your clients. Now, he does some mental headspace, but not as much as you. But he does also do breathing. I wasn't even breathing right. I thought I was breathing. I've done breathing work.
Sympathetic and parasympathetic breath work. Yeah.
Yes. And so he's doing the rebalancing my nervous system when I get in there. I literally just walk in. I don't have to say anything. And he's like, you're getting on the table and you're breathing. He can see my body. He can literally watch somebody walk past the window. He's like, I got to call that woman. She works upstairs. I can see how she's moving. She needs to stop that. It's having that expertise of knowing how to easily correct and give you the shortcut based on your experience, your expertise of getting somebody there faster and in a way that they're going to be hopefully remain uninjured and intentional. But again, what Kyle does is he does it from I just have a sphere in my mind's eye and you're
holistic.
the center. Yeah, it's all the way around, holistic.
Yeah.
So my last question for the man listening who recognizes himself in everything we've described so far, drifting, successful on paper, but misaligned inside, what's the first move he can make this week to start rewriting his story?
Number one, choose to wake up at a specific time every day and have that one moment with yourself. Right. At the end of the day, there's so much noise, so much distraction that is around you. If you just take that one moment to center yourself, you will show up differently throughout your entire life. And that review helps you. You know, everybody talks about SMART goals.
Yeah.
I changed that framework by adding an ER to it. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. But if you add emotion and review, you're going to get there so much quicker.
Yeah, that's a great unlock for everybody, men or women listening. And I think that's easy to say, hard to do. For some people, this may be a hard lift, but how many reps of getting up at the same time every day do you think someone needs to start to really have it move the needle for them?
Solidified, I would say you need about 30 days. But that said, I would say start with, say, for example, you want to wake up at 4 a.m., right? Most people don't want to do that. I choose that because there's nobody awake at that time.
That's right. It's quiet.
Exactly. But I didn't start that way. I started by waking up at 6 a.m. every morning. And then for a week, I did that. Then the next week, I moved back 15 minutes. Did it again. Then the next week, 15 minutes again. And what that does, it compounds till you get to 4 o'clock. And now you've got that solidified in your nervous system, your circadian rhythm, and you're happy to do that. Obviously, the time change messes you up a little bit, you know, the daylight saving. Yeah. Once you've done that for 30 days, I guarantee it will stick. Unless you have travel between different states, and then it kind of messes you up a little bit more.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, mind over matter. If you don't mind, then it doesn't matter.
Yep, that's right. My husband says that a lot. It's a marine thing. Okay. So as we wrap up the podcast, Kyle, tell us about your two books. I did not know this, you guys, just listening out there. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I wrote two books. I'm like, excuse me, we need to make sure we talk about that. So tell us about your books.
Perfect. Okay, so the one book is called The Art of No: Reclaim Your Power, Protect Your Purpose. It came from the fact that I was a yes man, a people pleaser, always trying to accommodate everybody, and found myself depleted the entire time. And what I figured out is that if you have a framework of going towards the one side, which I went completely the other side and just said no to everybody and everything, it does the opposite effect. And then you find the harmony between those. During that process, though, you start to find that if you put yourself first, which a lot of people say is selfish, but you have to be a little selfish. It helps you to stop your procrastination, to stop that fatigue from setting in, because you get to show up differently when you do that. And this develops a framework for helping you do that.
When did you write that book?
That was written last year.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, thank you so much. It took me about 10 years to write that one, though.
Wow. And so book number 2, do we want to just mention that one as well?
Yes, here we go. It's called Reforging the Modern Day Man, the New Standard for the Soft Age.
Nice. Okay, tell us more about that one.
This one over here is a framework of how to shift your mindset from where you are right now to stop drifting. It encompasses the 6 F's that we spoke about in this program, and a lot of the frameworks that I actually established in my program or the Excalibur program to just remove the noise and the frictionless dopamine that men are going through right now. I've just finished. You should definitely tell your husband about this, though. I've just finished the program. Was last week. It was a 5-day program, essentially a Hell Week for 5 days with the Iron Oak Society. It's called the Forge One, and you can see there's kind of scars everywhere around me. We were army crawling through stand in 32-degree water for a specific amount of time. Doing some intentionally crazy stuff. But during that process, we were beat up, like really beat up throughout the entire day. And then the second day comes around, the morale dips a little bit. But as we got more and more beaten up, our morale started to increase because of the fact that we can push through anything.
Yeah.
And what I've put in this book helps you to get to that standpoint. It helps you to understand that stimulus is around you. You can choose pain or you can choose purpose over pain. You can choose courage over comfort. And by doing those, now you put yourself in such a different perspective and different situation that allows you to really design your life instead of manage it.
That's a biggie. I feel like I've been doing a lot of managing for a minute. And I think over the last years, I've kind of stepped into the role of actively redesigning it. And I bet men feel this way too. For me, my theme has been Phoenix Rising for, I'd say, really, truly the last decade. And it does take some time to deconstruct and then reconstruct, I would call it. So in the same kind of spirit of designing, maybe sharing, and it sounds like this is part of the world that you're in, is sometimes you have to burn things down to the ground before you can rise back up and design that life that you choose to do. And it means some letting go in a good way and also embracing the hard things. Like courage over comfort is one of those things. And I'll never forget, I had come out of a really difficult phase, and I had somebody I respected reflect back to me, and I did not expect this to come from this person. I hadn't even been in the headspace. But when someone tells you, I think what you just completed was extraordinarily brave, there are not a lot of people who would do that because it involves a high level of discomfort. It was so validating. And it seems like I haven't read these books because, again, just found out about them. But you're maybe addressing some of that in these books as well. There's a core theme that goes into these, that word of forged just speaks to me. And I think that'll resonate with a lot of the people that you're looking to attract to your business and to work with, and to feed not just your why, but their why. It helps them understand there's somebody who's moved through it from your own history and personal experiences that you are walking the walk, talking the talk, as people say. And I so appreciate you showing up here and taking extra time. This conversation has been so amazing. I realized like we're probably it'll be one of our longer episodes, but sorry, not sorry, guys. I think you will benefit from this. Is there anything else you want to share with our listeners before we wrap up at all today? I mean, other than the fact that everybody to reach Kyle, that will all be in the show notes. So you don't have to go hunting for it. It'll be right below wherever you're consuming this piece of content. So don't worry about a thing. I'll make sure you have all the materials and the links to get to him. But other than that, is there anything else you want to share as we wrap up, Kyle?
I think everybody just, from my perspective, the last message I would say is that if you're in pain, know that it's not the end of the world. It's rather just your body or your mind or anything that you're going through. It's a request for change. That's what pain is. And once you understand that, you can leverage that to change where you're at, to become essentially what you could be. There's a saying that I love. It goes, look at a man as he is, and he becomes worse. Look at a man as he could be, and he becomes what he should be.
Wow. That is the perfect way to finish this episode. I can't say anything more. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Kyle. And I just thank you so much for the extra time and doing what you do for the men out there that can really benefit from the work that you do and how you serve your family as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Dawn.
This conversation has been exactly what I hoped it would be. Honest, grounded, and genuinely useful for the men who need to hear it. For everyone listening, if something Kyle said landed for you today, don't let it stay as just a feeling. Take one action, whether that's looking up Excalibur, sending this episode to someone who needs it, or just doing one thing differently tomorrow morning. You can connect with Kyle at Excalibur through the show notes. All of his contact information and social channels will be listed right there with easy links. If this episode was valuable to you, please leave us a review and share it with someone who is ready to stop drifting. That's how we grow this community. I'm Dawn Gagye. Thank you for spending this time with us on the Entrepreneurial Edge. We'll see you in the next one.